The ocean is a vast and truly terrifying abyss, and we've hardly scratched the surface in understanding what its dark voids have to offer. This unknown is what gives you that uneasy feeling when you stare into the deep blue. What's out there? Nessie? Talking fish? Atlanteans? Demon fish that want to harvest your soul? Well, let's hope it isn't that last one, as that isn't any reality that I want to be a part of. However, that didn't stop me from going on my Dredge expedition. Dredge puts you in the boots of a lonely sailor, who is on a mission to uncover the secrets of Greater Marrow and its surrounding islands. As your fish become corrupted and your mind goes into panic, you have to hope that the island folk can offer you enough information before you sink into insanity. My name is Derek, and I had the lucky opportunity to be provided a key by Black Salt Games and Team 17 so that I may embark on this adventure. We'll be exploring both the base game of Dredge as well as its DLC, The Pale Reach. I had the unique chance to experience these side by side on my first playthrough, so I'll do my best to provide additional insight for any sailor newcomers who are debating getting the DLC. With that being said, let's set sail into the terrors and secrets of Dredge. What would a boat game be without the ability to fish? Admittedly, I'm often sold on most games based on their fishing components, and while you may not catch me out on a lake in real life that often, you can surely find me fishing for multiple hours in a game. Whether it's waiting for the next season in Animal Crossing to swap up the available fish, or casting my line over and over again in Stardew Valley multiplayer, I'm going to be out by the water no matter what. So, when greeted with the chance to sail to multiple islands and catch over 100 different types of fish, I sprung at the opportunity. Each area in the game comes equipped with their own unique species of fish, and you'll have to use multiple methods to catch them all. You can cast out your line over bubbling pools of sea creatures, drag a net behind your boat, or drop crab traps that you can return to at a later point and find it filled with various crustaceans. On top of this, different fish spawn depending on if it's day or night, so you'll have to constantly explore at all hours of the day if you want to find every fish. When fishing, you'll have to complete a quick minigame. Over the course of the game, you'll find that different fish have different minigames associated with them. They all revolve around timing in one way or the other, and while I don't mind the repetitive nature of it, it would have been nice to see some other types of catching fish. I think the idea of lures where you have to follow a pack of fish in your boat would have added a tad bit more variety for me that would have kept the game fresh into the final hours of play. I know this isn't how lures actually work, but the idea of chasing a pack of fish and staying close enough to them sounds like a fun time. That being said, the simple and straightforward strategy in Dredge puts you in a gaming trance. You'll find yourself going out fishing until your inventory is full, and then return to profit off of your haul. It's peaceful, for the most part, and it's honestly done perfectly. The cherry on top to all this fishing is the game of Tetris that you get to play after every fish or item that you collect. You have to manage your inventory efficiently to ensure that you're traveling with as much fish as possible. You're able to rotate every item, so when Dredge throws some crazy shapes your way, you'll have to rearrange everything or leave something behind. This interaction is that extra feature that a game like Dredge needs, as it keeps your mind working so it doesn't turn to fish mush. Your fishing abilities are boosted by the types of rods and equipment that you carry with you. As you progress, you will unlock new types of fishing rods that will increase the speed at which you pull a fish up, but they are also required for catching fish in specific areas. Fish are classified in 8 different types: coastal, shallow, oceanic, abyssal, hadal, volcanic, mangrove, and ice for you Pale Reach owners. To start, you will only be able to catch some coastal and shallow fish, but as you obtain new rods, the ocean will be your oyster. Literally. You can only carry a few rods as your capacity is limited for these tools, so you want to make sure that you're properly planning for your next fishing trip. Towards the end of your journey, you'll have the ability to catch fish from all over the ocean without having to return to the shipyard. To accompany your fishing endeavors, your little boat can be upgraded in a variety of ways. These upgrades range from researching new items to expanding your inventory space to support extra cargo and tools. To start, you have very limited room on deck, as not only do you need to store every fish you catch, but your engine, rods, nets, and lights also take up room. Your inventory has dedicated slots to fit in these tools, so you don't have to worry about adjusting them. However, they do get in the way when trying to cram fish into every nook and cranny. Luckily, you'll be able to dredge up building materials like wood, metal, and cloth that you will use to open up your inventory space. Your dredge boat is broken up into 4 upgrade tiers, separated by 3 hull upgrades that increase your overall amount of inventory space. Within each tier, you can exchange the materials you've obtained to make additional slots for your tools. This opens up some additional planning, specifically around how you organize your rods and engines. In order to unlock new tools, you'll need to spend research tokens, which in turn will unlock new items to be purchased at the shop. These research tokens give you some extra capacity in controlling what type of fisherman you want to be. It doesn't get too detailed or advanced, but having the option to put all my research tokens into crab traps is an enjoyable freedom. That being said, putting your focus towards rod and engine upgrades is going to be your main driving factor in progressing through the game. The later zones fish are locked behind more advanced rods, so you'll be required to invest in that upgrade tree. Engines might sound self-explanatory. Better engines equals faster speeds, and while that is the main idea, it isn't just for speedy and leisurely travel across the seas. They're also used for escaping, but more on that later. Everything so far has been relatively straightforward and natural for a fishing game. Boats, rods, water, all things that you need to start your career as a fisherman. However, Dredge isn't a game about only fishing. You're also on a quest to unveil the mysteries that seem to have laid waste to the surrounding islands. I won't get into it too much, but you visit multiple areas for a specific reason. Upon completing these quests, you'll be granted abilities to enhance your overall fishing and fleeing methods. I wouldn't say that these abilities are necessary to complete the game, however they are incredibly useful and make traveling and collecting more welcoming. That being said, as nice as these abilities were, I think I would have preferred that they were swapped out with ones that aided in nighttime and panic navigation. You have two that are very helpful in these regards, which are Haste and Banish. They let you play a little closer to the horrors around you by providing some defensive and evasive maneuvers. I would have loved to see a Shroud or Decoy ability that would have let you sneak quietly by enemies. Maybe the hopes of a Dredge 2 will offer something of these sorts. I might be getting too complicated in Dredge's simple yet flawless design, but these were just a few ideas going through my head as I was playing. If you have opinions on the abilities, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you all think. Now, on to what makes Dredge, Dredge. Thinking about that name, Dredge sounds very much like Dread, which is what I feel anytime my boat was out in the open water once the sun went down. You see, these waters are not safe, not in the slightest. During the day, your fishermen can maintain their sanity and for the most part, avoid destruction as their main enemy will be their own sailing skills. However, once nightfall approaches, panic sets in. Panic is the mechanic that controls your threat level out in the open waters. I won't get into too much detail, but let's just say panic is the perfect word for it. Sounds, objects, creatures will begin stalking the sea. You feel like a tiny minnow destined for a horrific fate. What was it that Qui-Gon Jinn said? There's always a bigger fish? I won't speak directly on the matter, but I will say there wasn't a single point in this game where you felt comfortable sailing over deep waters. In addition to the inevitable panic that will set in, you'll also find that some fish have undergone interesting mutations. For every fish type, there are a few varieties of the fish to be caught. As I mentioned, this opens up the collection capabilities in the game, which I greatly enjoyed. However, looking at these fish will make any right-minded sailor get a case of seasickness. I will applaud the artists on this one though, as they were able to make some incredible and gross adaptations of your everyday fish. Next, I want to cover the story. There's surprisingly a lot here for a game that seems like it will be limited to its storytelling capabilities. Aside from the main story being exciting and mysterious, there are plenty of side quests for you to complete. The side quests grant you rewards through gold and items that you can use to help your journey. I quite enjoyed the ones that required me to stick a person into my cargo space with the rest of my fish. Hopefully they were comfortable and didn't get too slimy. That being said, it would have been nice if at least the main storyline had delved into more animation like you get at the beginning and end of the game. I oftentimes felt a little disconnected from humanity due to feeling more like a boat than a fisherman. These short little drawn comics would have been an excellent way to acquaint myself with my fellow islanders. This was really the only area that kept me from playing the game in one sitting, if I'm being honest. At some point, my capacity for being a boat would reach its limit. Sure, you get to interact with the merchants and island folk through quick conversations, but that's about the extent of it. This is by no means a deterrent for the game, and if you're someone who wants to roleplay a boat, which is a very fun and enjoyable thing to do, then you likely won't encounter the same opinion as me. My sea legs just couldn't hold up to the 24/7 boat life. All jokes aside, the story in the text, journals, and NPCs is enjoyable and keeps your mind churning as you attempt to figure out what in the world is going on in this ocean. As I mentioned at the beginning, I played completely through Dredge and its DLC without any break in between the two. My experience with the Pale Reach came right after putting 7 to 8 hours into the main game. This add-on offers some new tools, fish, an entirely new ice area to explore, and a separate story to investigate. All in all, the content was enjoyable, but it was a tad too short. Your journey to the Pale Reach and events that happen there are similar to how the 5 areas in the base game operate. That being said, it only took me 45 minutes to complete it. No, I didn't catch every fish, but I definitely explored all there was and completed the main story. In the Pale Reach, you unlock an entirely new tool as well. It operates similar to how an ability would from the base game. It's called the Icebreaker, which, as its name suggests, is good at breaking ice. It's really only helpful in the Pale Reach, so don't expect to be taking any goodies with you when you return to your warmer islands. You do, however, discover how to make some items that will keep your fish fresh in your inventory, letting you travel with them longer before they become slimy and stinky. I never really found this mechanic to be something that I encountered during my time in Dredge, but if you're someone who goes on long adventures without returning to society, then these may be very useful for you. As I said, you'll encounter the same loop that you did in the base game with a few new mechanics and enemies to escape. If you enjoy Dredge, then you will enjoy its DLC, but don't expect there to be anything completely new or game-changing. Dredge is a great game. The items that I listed that I thought could have used some improvement are very minor to the overall feel and function of the game. Those thoughts were stretches at best and subject to anyone's opinion on a few gameplay components. Everything in this game is done simple and nearly perfect, to the point that I feel bad wishing there were a few extra features. Black Salt Games had a vision of what they wanted to create going into Dredge, and I believe that they hit all the marks. For that, this game undoubtedly gets the Pillowfort stamp of approval. If you're looking for a mysterious fishing game that has a story as unusual as the ocean itself, then Dredge is the perfect representation. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Were you as terrified as I was at night, or did you become one with the darkness? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. If you want to stay up to date with our content, then consider subscribing. We do reviews, gameplay videos, walkthroughs, and so much more.